I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is January 27, 2020 Park and Rec Commission meeting. Roll call.
Commissioner Blomgren?
Yes.
Commissioner Elson?
Yes.
Commissioner Miles? Absent. Commissioner Phipps? Here. Commissioner Ravazio? Here. Commissioner Weingart? Here. Vice Chair Janowski? Here. Chair Casissa?
Here. If we can stand, pledge allegiance to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to open it up for public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on any topic that is not on the agenda? No? Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment. We have no presentations tonight. We have one item under the consent calendar. These are items that are in the normal course of business. If somebody wants to pull an item off of here from the commission, you can pull it off and we can discuss it. The only item on here is the minutes from the last meeting. Go ahead.
Just one addition to the minutes from the last meeting.
Sure.
Page 3, Commissioner Ravazio stated, the sign listing the rules should also explain who to contact if someone is breaking the rules. She suggested people call the secretary.
Turn your mic on. It's bottom underneath, right? You'll find out in a minute.
Test, okay. I suggested people call the Central Moline Police Department non-urgent number, but that police should be contacted to determine the best procedure. I don't think we should have posted that they should call the police unless we get authorization from the police that we post that number and that we figure out how we're going to deal with infractions at the dog park. I mean, we really haven't solved that, so I don't want to dictate sign for a copy, copy for a sign before we explore it. And I think I mentioned that night.
Okay, so do we just need to add a sentence to clarify that?
Can I give you the?
You can direct Commissioner Ravazio to work with staff to clarify the intent of the sentence, and we can go back to the video and make it match.
Whatever's easier. I just don't want to I don't want anyone putting the police department's number on a sign without checking with them first.
Definitely. Okay. So I would accept the minutes with as amended.
Yeah, they're fine. I'll you don't have to.
Okay.
As long as the point got across, I don't need to actually make them.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve 4A under the consent calendar, which is the only consent item? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Commissioner Blomgren?
Yes.
Commissioner Elson?
Yes.
Commissioner Miles? Commissioner Phipps?
Yes.
Commissioner Ravazio?
Yes.
Commissioner Weingart?
Yes.
Vice Chair Janowski?
Yes.
Chair Casissa?
Yes. Sorry. Okay, we'll move to business items. 5A, discussion, direction, staff, recruitment for Park and Recreation Youth Commissioner, 2-year term beginning July 1st, 2020, expiring June 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This is something that I'm not sure has been looked at closely in the past, but since we do have, and we're one of the few cities that does have a youth commissioner, we are going to start publicity for the open period for commission and board reappointments and appointments. And we're hoping to open that early February and close it early March. And we're doing it early because we have a planning commissioner and a Parks and Recreation commissioner who are running unopposed for town council. So we will have a remainder year of an unexpired term for this seat, and also a remaining few months. You have a year, correct? And it's about the same amount for the Planning Commission. And we thought that we would be proactive and open the recruitment process a few weeks earlier than we usually do. And at that time, we will also be losing our youth commissioner, and wanted to make the most out of getting an effective outreach material, because we do get a lot of questions. It's a difficult position to recruit for, and the more information and opportunities and guidelines about what we want and need and expect, hope our youth commissioner will accomplish would be good. We don't really have outreach materials that explain that, so I thought we could take this time to clarify that and give staff some direction on what we should include in the recruitment notices.
Okay, before we open it up for public comment, any comments, questions from the commission? No? Okay, go ahead.
Were you talking about replacing the chair, his position, before the year is up, or just recruiting beforehand?
Recruiting beforehand, but the election is March 3rd, and the county has, I think, 28 days to certify the results of the election.
Mm-hmm.
We're anticipating seating the new council members at the April 7th council meeting,
Okay.
at which point this body would be down a member.
Right.
So we could do one of two things. We could recruit separately to fill the remaining unexpired term, and then wait a few weeks and recruit for those members that have expiring terms
Mm-hmm.
in June 30th of this year,
Got it.
which
Okay.
I think there's 3. Or we could do it all at once, and then newly appointed or reappointed commissioners, their terms would start July 1st.
Got it. Okay.
With 1 seat beginning upon reappointment or upon appointment of the chair to the council.
Okay, got it.
It's tricky.
Any other,
Thanks, Fred.
any other comments?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open up for public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Go ahead. If you can just step up to mic and then just state your name and address. Usually we give 3 minutes, but we're flexible. Just don't
Okay.
rattle on for 20, please. Thanks.
Yeah, my name's Lucy McPherson. I live 431 Corte Madera Avenue. I'm really interested in the youth commissioner position, but something about the position I want to talk about is collaboration. People of my age usually collaborate on most of everything, and I think it'd be a really good tactic to use to have more than one person as a youth commissioner. And I understand it's really hard to recruit people, but I'll do as much as I can to help on that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment. So what do you need from us as far as direction?
Just to throw out ideas about what, how you would like to expand on this position. Is there something, as far as collaboration, do you see the youth commissioner reaching out to the elementary schools, the middle schools, just being an advocate within their own student body, an advocate out in the community? What can we do to make the position palatable to the youth in our community? Ideally, it would be great to recruit more than one person. I know in the past, I believe you've had a main and an alternate. No? Oh, I thought.
Since I've been on, I think I've only remember
Okay.
having one.
Yeah, since in my time it was Eric Ahern, and I
Mhm.
think he did it for a couple of years. And
I
then
think when I
we had a
started in
vacancy for a
2014.
year.
Yeah. I think when I started in 2014, there was a member and an alternate. I don't think I ever met either of them, but I thought I recalled that was the case. So we could hope for that, but has anybody ever worked in a situation where there was a youth member of your team or an intern or something? I was hoping to get some input on how we could make the recruitment notice more interesting and exciting.
I have a suggestion.
Just make sure your mic's on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
We were conspiring over here. I think it would be great to make the point, first of all, that you could help create programs for other kids. That there, as a youth commissioner, can be involved in things for kids. And also, I think you can just, if you do a bullet point about kind of the benefits to them, it's a great resume builder, and it's excellent for their college applications. And sometimes they might just need to be reminded that while it's something of service, that they're also going to get something back from it. And even just making it more, serving as a youth commissioner allows you to influence exciting community improvements. You know, it gives you experience as a community leader. or something that has more of a promise, a benefit to the applicant rather than, I mean, that sounds fun to me, but I think to a kid, you know, they want something more direct benefit to them. You know, gain this experience, learn how to be a leader, build your resume, I don't know. Just some thoughts. You know, I'm just looking at it, I looked at it earlier and I thought that it sounds like a good appeal to an adult, but it doesn't sound like a really strong appeal to a kid.
Yeah, adding on to that, I think this flyer is a good idea. I think putting it up around all the different high schools would be effective, but I think it needs to be modified in that it needs a lot less words. So nobody's gonna stand in the school hallway and like read this whole thing. It just needs to be really short, really sweet, have something like add to your resume or like build your college application, stuff like that, so it'll actually catch people's attention, and then have some details like maybe on the back or like contact so-and-so for more details, etc. Not.
So a happy medium between the 2016 version and the 2018 version.
Yes.
One had very few words, one had too
Oh,
many
wow.
words.
Oh, I didn't see this one.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I love the splatters.
That's why you save copies.
Yes.
One idea for recruiting would be to reach out to the two leadership teachers
Yeah.
at Redwood, Dave Plesha and Melissa Bowles.
Bowles.
And they, I mean, because they do have leadership kids freshman through senior year. And I know we were talking about trying to get someone that wasn't maybe a senior who's busy. Maybe they could, if it's a 2-year term. But, you know, there's a lot of kids that want to go into leadership and there's not always room for them. So they would be probably, I mean, they could advertise it in their classes or also help you get the word out.
I will say Plesha and Bowles are not very on top of communication. So I would probably reach out to the ASB president, who I can contact.
Yeah.
He'll be really on top of it. He could get the word out as soon as this Thursday.
That would be great, thank you. And then ideally, we could have some overlap before the end of your term and the beginning of the next term.
Yeah.
What about the Pathways program? Those kids, and the woman's name who's in charge of it is Alyssa, and I can't think of her last name. But that's a group of kids that have to have a job or internship.
Is that through Redwood?
It's through
It's
all
TAM
of the
Union.
schools.
Oh, the school
It's-
district.
Yeah. So we would have to say, you know, it's for the kids that live in Corte Madera that are in it. And then I don't know about the school counselors too at Redwood, if they're helping kids look for things to help their, round out their applications
That's
and
a good
stuff.
idea. Because I can reach out to Becky Burston, who's the college and career counselor at Redwood. She's a friend. And that'd be a great thing. We could put up a flyer in her building or in her office. And then one other thing for Josh Chan, if you have a little meme, whatever, they do a lot of Instagram posting.
A lot.
And he could put that out for Redwood ASB, and that would be the way to reach 2,000 kids
The whole
like that.
school.
Oh, that would
The
be
whole
great.
school. So any kind of little JPEG file.
Thank you. I just
Yeah.
feel like since we're starting this recruitment process a little bit early, it usually ended up being an afterthought, and by the time we
Yeah.
really got into the full swing of opening the recruitment window, it was almost the end of the school year, and it just got lost in the shuffle, and then we went a few months without an appointee, and I wanted to avoid that this year.
Thank you.
I think if the way you look at the position now, it sounds like you're kind of trying to redefine how it looks in students' eyes. It currently looks like a public and a commission-facing position, where you sit at this table and you talk to us and talk to the public. Whereas I like the idea of it being a collaboration where you can focus on it being, you're sort of the spokesman for all the students, and it's a collaboration position where your job is to coordinate the wants and needs and desires of kids at Redwood and kids in middle school, where you're more of an aggregator of ideas. So you're facing the students and you're not just facing the public. I'm sure they would rather
like
spend a
that.
little more time with their friends and a little less, with the microphone on. But it would be great if there were more than one, not just whoever the youth commissioner is, but anybody else they were collaborating with could come up and do presentations at every single one of our meetings if they chose to. So
That would be fantastic.
good practice, good for the resume. And it'll be on tape too, so you got proof.
Exactly.
I like that. Thank you.
The timing may be good with us getting a new director,
Mhm.
because that person can probably collaborate with the new director coming in.
We could have
Sorry.
we could have a youth
Yeah, and the new
commission.
director may have different ideas also. So when are you looking at posting the revised flyer? Or doing,
I'm hoping to go live with the recruitment next week.
okay.
If not next week, the week after at the latest. But it sounded like from the previous council meeting, we were directed to get the recruitment ball rolling as soon as possible.
Okay. And it sounds like from a commission standpoint, if we do wind up getting multiple recruits, we can do one commission member and one as an alternative.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll go to 5B, discussion and direction of staff regarding possible changes to sorry, I need glasses. Nomination process for Volunteer of the Year awards.
Okay, this is another because I had the opportunity to tap into the entire group at once. This came up about a year ago, I believe, probably the last time. This is another one that we're going to try to roll out early because it usually goes pretty late into the fiscal year, which rolls into the 4th of July parade and who's going to be in the parade. So this is one of the ones where we'd like to get the nomination processes started earlier. And we do have a town council appointed citizen of the year, and then we have the volunteer of the year and the youth volunteer of the year. And both of those have evolved slightly over the years. And the question is, do we want to make any changes to the process? There apparently was talk in the past of combining the award so that someone who's involved in the Twin Cities as a whole, but maybe resides in Larkspur, could be nominated for recognition. So before we rolled out the program, we just wanted to know if the commission wished to see any changes in who can be nominated for the award.
Okay. And if I can remember, volunteers, you're over the age of 65?
I think that used to be the case, but I think the commission changed the focus of the award because people were hesitant to apply for something if they didn't consider themselves a senior.
Okay.
So I think it's just a volunteer.
Okay. And then youth, if I can remember, has to be under the age of 18.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And as it stands right now, you have to be a resident of Corte Madera, correct?
Yes.
I'm in full support of switching it to Twin Cities. That was our issue with the skate park, and I think it makes sense. I mean, we were looking at Redwood kids, but then if one, lived in Larkspur, they couldn't do it, but they
Right.
were working with the friend in Corte Madera.
That actually may be a good tactic to take with, if you do go with an advisory group to the youth commissioner, maybe Larkspur residents could be involved in that so they could still have a voice even if they weren't seated. So I think that makes sense to do that. We have a lot of activities that are a collaborative effort from both Larkspur and Corte Madera residents.
Does Larkspur already have a volunteer award that they give to citizens?
And to my knowledge, they don't. I was going to double check on that, but I got involved with Fred and Emily today, so.
Okay, yeah, I just
I can
wouldn't
check
want to
on that.
duplicate it if it's already being done there too,
So I have a
If we-
question for
Yeah, go ahead.
So how do we do the outreach to get these nominations?
Yes.
How do we do that? Because it seems like we should be going to the Lions, the Women's Club, the Beautification.
That would be
people
an
who
excellent
know.
idea, and we'll do that this year.
Okay.
I honestly don't know how it was carried out in the past, other than I think there were posts on Nextdoor and in the newsletter.
Mhm.
But I don't know
I mean, the
if
people who know who the real
department put up
volunteers
signs.
are the ones who are running the organizations that draw on the volunteers. I love the idea of a Twin Cities. I think that's great, but I think then you also have to do outreach to Larkspur to involve them so that it doesn't kind of sound like we're usurping the Twin Cities without really serving the Twin Cities. So I think if we take that on, we need to live up to it. And I think it's a great, since merger between the two departments is sort of happening anyway, it's a great opportunity for us to do a little merger, and so I really support that. I
So,
love the name.
On the
guess-
Lions Club and the Beautification Committee and those types of committees, are there Larkspur residents that serve on those committees
There are
and involved in the
there
Lions
are-
Club?
There are, but there are fewer civic organizations in Larkspur. There's the Larkspur Community Foundation, maybe the Chamber of Commerce, if you want to include them. But there aren't as many, so the outreach wouldn't be as cumbersome to go to
I
Larkspur.
think this came up last year because somebody did want to be nominated, or somebody did want to nominate someone, but they lived in Larkspur.
Right, it was, yeah,
Okay.
that was, that was.
But I'm sorry, I guess one of the questions is, if we expand it to Larkspur, does that person have to do volunteer work towards Corte Madera? Or could it be volunteer work in Larkspur?
Well, if
or
we're calling
anywhere
it
in
Twin
both
Cities,
cities.
we really
It's either
I'm just throwing,
open to
right, I'm
any
just throwing that out there.
nominations. Yeah, I mean,
That's
Yeah,
a
this
good
this may
point.
be a road that we don't,
if we're
Yeah.
saying Twin Cities, we need to be Twin Cities.
maybe just case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Like something like the
That's a good
skate
point.
park that was something for a town facility that was collaborated on by
Correct.
members of both communities.
Right. Because otherwise, so potentially we could be giving an award to somebody in Larkspur who did work for a project in Larkspur,
Yeah, that's-
potentially.
you're
Yeah,
right, that's-
no.
Maybe we're not there yet.
No,
just
this
seems
is
kinda
more
awkward.
intended to acknowledge residents and residents of the neighboring cities that also collaborated on something that
Right.
directly affected town facilities or
Well, then
town
without
it's almost-
renaming it, you could still do that. If you call it the Corte Madera Volunteer of the Year, and that volunteer happens to live in Larkspur, there's nothing to prohibit us from awarding that person,
Okay.
right? I mean, I think you could open it to Larkspur and Corte Madera, but
But do you mean with
but
the,
then I think, oh God, there's people in San Rafael who come down and do so much too.
but are you saying with
Where you
the,
stop?
open it up to both, but with the caveat that the volunteer work would have to be done like in Corte Madera?
Yeah, but I just wouldn't call it Twin Cities then.
No,
because
right.
then you're-
No.
That's a
you're
good point.
like
But we can say in the
overpromising.
description that this award is open to nominations for work done in
Corte Madera.
On
Corte Madera.
Right, if you
projects
simply
within
take
the
out where they live and have the stipulation be that the volunteer work was done towards the town
Yeah,
of Corte Madera, then I think,
Because then they could be from San Rafael.
Right.
Or
I
Mill
mean,
Valley.
who cares where they live? If they did something great for the town, they should be eligible, right?
That's a great way to say it.
Okay, and we'll do outreach to our local service groups.
I would also say for the Youth Volunteer of the Year, you should reach out to David Sondheim, the principal of Redwood High School, and have him send an email to all of the Redwood teachers. They're the ones who know best, especially because many of them have their students do community service work for the class, so they could be very knowledgeable about who does what in the community.
Thank you.
And something I mentioned, I think when we started talking about the youth award in the past, that I haven't acted on myself, is it would be nice to have a lot of different nominations and publicize all of them. Maybe one person gets to ride in the parade or whatever, but it would be
Nice.
great to have a
Good.
whole handful of different walks of life and different types of stuff, big and small. It doesn't have to be someone who devoted their life for a year. It can be a small project someone did, but it would just be great to have a list of acknowledgements.
It's almost like honor your neighbor.
Like I said, I've said that in the
We
past. and then
tried, I
haven't
know, we
brought
tried
anybody.
last year and we were lucky to get two.
Yeah, so we can try
I got a
again.
Redwood teacher to do it
We'll
at the
we'll
last minute.
do greater outreach this year,
Yeah.
and we'll
Yeah.
push all of the notices to all of you, and you can send it to all of your groups and neighbors and.
And I can handle Redwood for you.
And next door might help.
We did it,
If
we've done that
parents
before.
nominating their kids and stuff, no?
Not that, we haven't gotten to that yet.
I have a question. So the Youth Volunteer of the Year is under the age of 18?
Correct.
Because that excludes a lot of high school
Seniors.
seniors.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should be eligible for the Youth Volunteer Award. So 18
Yeah,
and
we
under?
could say high school,
18 and
high
under.
school seniors and younger.
Yeah.
We could change.
I mean,
the
just so
wording.
that we can include a large group of people that would probably qualify.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody from the public? Okay, I'll close public comment. So you're good, Rebecca?
Yes, thank you for the
Okay.
direction.
Yeah, and I appreciate coming earlier with this because every year we usually start getting into May and we're scrambling.
I'm going to be following my
So-
own advice with the Citizen of the Year too. So
Thanks.
we're being proactive. It's our word of the year.
Really great you're getting on it.
Okay, 5C, discussion and possible action, set meeting calendar for 2020.
Thank you. Should I let you handle this one? This is brought forward because annually in January, the commission looks at the dates scheduled for upcoming meetings throughout the year and can recommend changes accordingly. If they conflict with a holiday, if there's a fifth Monday and the fourth Monday happens to conflict with getting a quorum because of vacation schedules, we can be flexible and change the date to the fifth Monday if necessary, and those options are laid out in the attachment.
Okay, so why don't we do this? If you look at the schedule that Rebecca prepared, May 25th is Memorial Day, so do we want to reschedule that meeting to May 18th? Okay. And we're doing this way. In the past, we've had issues where we run up against time crunch and all of a sudden, we're 2 meetings away and we're trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
This way it sets the schedule for the year.
Much better. Yep.
Correct. For June, there's 5 Mondays. Do we wish to reschedule 6:15 or 6:29?
Or
Or
just keep it as
keep
is?
it.
I'm fine keeping it as is.
Anybody? Keep
And
it?
it may be too
As
early.
is. What date would it
It's
keep it?
June
Oh, June
22nd.
22nd. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll just
You
keep
can
it.
always come back
June
later.
22nd, I'm gone.
Oh, then we're going to have to change it.
Well, you can live without me.
It's also, if we know a meeting in advance, we can put it on the calendar to change it to, and then it would stay a regular meeting, and then you wouldn't have to have a special meeting. But if we know a month in advance, we can always change it later. If
Okay.
If I can add, the 29th is the 4th of July week, so that might,
That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, so we'll leave it the 22nd. And same thing in August. Do we want to leave it August 24th?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then November, December, usually December, we cancel the December meeting, and because the other one hits up against Thanksgiving, we move that one also. So do we want to reschedule it to early November, late November, or early December?
The 16th should be okay, right? November 16th?
Yeah, it just stretches it out, because then what winds up happening is we don't wind up meeting for another almost 2 months.
But Thanksgiving week is tough.
Right. So do we want to make it the first week in December?
Or 11:30. November 30th.
So
Oh, that's still Thanksgiving.
that's the Monday after
That-
Thanksgiving?
I don't have a calendar in front of me. I think
Yeah,
it might be, though.
yeah, that works.
So either the 16th or the 30th would work for me.
Yep. Either of those are fine for me, too.
So you say November 30th? Either that or.
Yeah,
well, that
Thanksgiving is the
first week of
26th,
December,
yeah,
isn't it?
no.
The 30th.
We could also wait until the June meeting, and we could firm that up later once people know more about their vacation plans.
Do we want to wait on that then?
Sure.
I definitely would prefer to change it from the existing one at some point, though, because,
Yeah, not Thanksgiving week.
right.
Okay, why don't we change it now
I think
then?
December.
What-
Do we want to make it November 30th?
Yeah, November 30th is
Okay,
good.
November
Monday after.
30th.
30th, that's
Yep.
right after Thanksgiving, but
It's not too far.
Most people are
yeah,
back.
it's
in-
kind
Yeah,
of.
most
on
people are
late
back.
enough.
The
It is,
30th.
we can publish the packet a little early.
Okay, and the December one's canceled, correct?
So
Yeah,
we're
no,
settling on November 30th.
Yep,
Okay.
Okay.
that's good. It's great
And
to
canceling
have-
December.
Yep.
I'll open up for public comment. I'll close public comment. Okay. I will go to 5D, discussion direction staff regarding exploration of a possible partnership between Lions Club and Novato High School to design and install a mural on the walls of the Warnham Drive underpass. Do you want me-
Okay, this one, this item was added at the direction of the chair. I
Do I need to
wanted
recuse?
to, no, I just wanted to explain that I was going to postpone it to a future meeting, but I was hoping I would have an answer to at least update you on, or we can discuss among the commission if we want to put together an exploratory committee now and reach out. But the question is since it's Caltrans right-of-way, whether they would be open to issuing the town a encroachment permit to do work in the area.
I'm sorry, and just for background, I'd come up with this idea and I'd approach Rebecca, because we walk a lot and we usually walk under the Warnham Street overpass, and I notice it's pretty ugly, especially on one side of it. So I started thinking, I go, can the Lions partner with Redwood High School Art Department and come up with a mural and paint a mural under that overpass so it wouldn't be as ugly and just straight cement?
And what I'm waiting to hear back from is what the permit process would entail, and how long would that process take, and would they be amenable to granting the permit once we went through all the steps. So we didn't want to go through the steps if they already were opposed to granting an encroachment permit. Most people I've spoken with said that it does sound like a good idea, and the question is just getting the request to the right person at Caltrans. So if you want to table it and bring it up at the next meeting, and hopefully I have more information, or if you want to move forward with an exploratory committee to approach Caltrans with an actual proposal, then we would have something in progress that could be acted on once we have the proper permits in place.
Okay. Comments, input from the commission?
I saw in the description there is no cost to the town, and it sounds like a great plan, so I would support going forward. I think just to go talk to them about the permit, it would help to at least show what the area you're talking about is, like a photograph, because if you go to them and say you want to put a mural up, they're going to say where. So if you can show them, if you have an idea of how big or where.
It's pretty big.
I feel that I should have said that there's no anticipated cost to the town. It just depends on whether or not Redwood would get the art supplies donated.
Right.
If the town would reimburse some of the cost, all of the cost, those things are all, if there's a grant available, if the Lions Club, for example, wished, I was under the assumption the Lions Club would help sponsor this, and that may be a premature assumption, but there are options that would either defray the costs to the town, or the commission could ask the town to budget a certain amount of money to reimburse the art supply costs.
Has
I'm sorry, go ahead.
has the Redwood Arts Department been contacted already, or no?
No.
Not yet. We wanted to see if this was something the commission wanted the chair to explore further.
Gotcha.
What's your thoughts from Redwood Art Department?
Well, I know a couple people who take art, so I could ask them if their teachers would be interested in,
Okay.
Piper.
I just thought it would be a good community project, and again, it would beautify, because again, it's pretty ugly under there.
Yeah.
So are we thinking paint, tile, mosaic, what kind of materials, or?
All
don't know
open to
yet.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pat. go
Is there a theme to this mural, or is it just whatever they want to do?
I think what it would have to be is they would have to come back with the design. And
Yeah.
the design would have some would probably be agreeable to the commission.
I would like to suggest a theme that I think would be appropriate, and that is parks and recreation and nature. I don't want to see necessarily,
Graffiti?
hip hop, graffiti, anything cultural. I mean, I think if Parks and Rec is commissioning this, we should ask that they do it on the theme of parks and recreation and nature, or wildlife. I mean, it'd be cool to see like the birds in the marsh, or, something that extends nature rather than, people are out for a walk to be calm, and so something soothing rather than jarring.
If you guys want an example to look at, Hamilton School in Novato,
Yeah.
the whole front of that school has been done in a mosaic mural. And it's individual, 4x4 tiles, where each one has a native flower with its, scientific name. And then you put them all together, and the backgrounds of the tiles change color, so it makes a larger scene as well. And it's actually visually very striking. But if anybody wants to go look at an example, that's a good one. And then, there's a mural under 4th Street in San Rafael, and that's got to be Caltrans property.
Okay.
So it's been done before.
Sunflowers.
Yeah.
Maybe I
The
can
sunflowers.
contact San Rafael's City Hall and see if they have a better contact for me than the one that I'm currently waiting to hear back from.
I think your first step is a good one, just to see what it would entail, and maybe then decide whether it's worth moving forward, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say there have been a few murals done at Redwood by Redwood students that have turned out very well, and they're not janky at all, and they're very, they're beautiful. So I think at first you should give the artists artistic license to come up with whatever they come up with, and if we don't agree with that, then we can always ask for revisions, but see what they do first.
It sounds like we need to go, step one is find out what the process is from Caltrans and see if they'll even let us do it.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping to do.
Okay. And then who's responsible for the maintenance under the overpass? It's like if somebody sprays graffiti on there.
I believe the town is.
Okay.
It's an interesting intersection because it is a Caltrans right of way, but on one side is Larkspur and on the other side is Corte Madera, and then there's also county unincorporated area. So it really does bridge the two communities, which is
man's land.
why it's good to have the high school and the Lions Club involved, because the school and that organization do bridge the two communities as well.
Okay. And right now, I'm just talking about the one, like I say, it would be on the side going from towards Cost Plus, towards the Bayside. It's on that, it's that one,
Okay.
so. Okay,
But we can keep it on the agenda for the next meeting, and I can report back.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Public comment? Close public comment. Directors and commissioner reports. That's you.
You threw me for the word commissioner. Okay, well, we spent today interviewing, supposed to be 7 candidates. We ended up interviewing 6 candidates for the position of Recreation Director. The chair and the vice chair and the town manager of San Anselmo participated in the panel. I observed we had 6 excellent candidates. In fact, of the 17 applications that we have, they were all very high quality. So we have narrowed it down to 2 for sure, maybe 3. The town manager is going to decide if he's going to do the final interview with either our top 2 or top 3 candidates. He's anticipating doing that Thursday, I believe, and we'll make the announcement and the offer probably sometime soon after that. I anticipate the applicant giving at least 2 weeks' notice, probably a month notice. So I would say middle of February and early March, we're going to have a new director, and it's very exciting.
24th.
Emily or Fred, you want to comment on the process? I thought it was excellent. It was really well done.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go.
I was really impressed. Janet Thiessen, I don't know her.
Thiessen, yeah.
Thiessen from, who's an HR person that works with Corte Madera, police, fire, and then the town, was excellent. She whittled down to these 7 from the original candidates, and two of our favorites both have extensive. Well, one has extensive park and rec experience. Are we able to be talk? I don't think. Yeah, I just started going there. So then, overall, the candidates were really impressive.
Yeah, and one thing as part of the process, the way it was set up is that each of them had to do a 5-minute presentation in the very beginning, which was mini park, and then how that mini park would be improved. I mean,
They had to come up with an idea for a mini park?
correct. Well, yeah.
Cool.
So that was a 5. So we were able to get presentation skills to see how they present. Plus, they had to create a staff report. And some of it you did PowerPoint presentations. So they were presenting to us like they were the director and we were the commissioners. And then the second part was we had a standard list of, I think, 15 questions. And those questions were wide-ranging from experience on a customer service level to employees to what kind of training they've given to staff to budget. So carried a wide breadth of different topics.
And one thing to add that would be probably of interest to you is our panel was unanimous in our ranking. So we had
That's great.
5. There were, as we ranked them each time, we were absolutely, completely in sync with how we ranked them. So there was strong consensus.
Yeah, there was a definite process that was put in place. It wasn't just, I want to say willy-nilly.
Was Todd part of this today? Oh, so he's the final arbiter?
He's the final say. He's going to have a one-on-one interview with at least 2 of the candidates, and he will make the final choice.
Sounds good.
Timeline for completion of Town Park, Dog Park. I spoke with Public Works. They are waiting for the weather to clear. They anticipate starting in the spring. They're going to do it in phases and anticipate having it totally complete probably sometime in late spring. So it's on their list.
Have you been out there, because like during heavy rains as a Public Works, or have you been out there and noticed anything water-wise out there? Again, just because there's been heavy rains.
To be honest, I haven't, but I did hear it's being used, so, yeah.
I've been going out there, and it's not the rainiest winter we've had. It's about average. And and it hasn't been too bad.
Okay.
It's, the dogs are going to chew it up, but it hasn't been sloppy muddy at all.
Okay.
I have a question. Is the fence line exact? Where the story fence is that firm, or are they still figuring out the details?
I think they're still figuring out the details. They just put that up temporarily to kind of mark it up. So it hasn't been, that's part of the process, is to make sure that they, get the boundaries exactly right.
I'm concerned about the big gap between the trees on the west side and then the fence, because that was intended so that the trucks could go up and dump into the green waste thing. But they also say that's not really necessary, that they can just throw the stuff over the top like most people with dumpsters do. You don't really need to approach a dumpster from above it in order to put stuff in it. So I think that's loss to the park, and it also creates this weird sort of no man's land where, there's like this, it just doesn't feel right. There's this place where you can go off into a dumpster that's right next to the dog park. It just feels kind of unsafe unless there's a gate up there or something. I've been out there with my dogs and watched what happens, and it's just a weird thing. And plus, it's ugly. There's a dumpster there. I mean, it feels like it could be looked at again.
I could follow up with that, yeah. Timeline for Skunk Hollow Park renovation. The site plan is in the process of being done as we speak, and once that is completed, it'll be ready to go out to bid for playground manufacturers again. Their guess is middle of February, but there is movement on that. There will be the renovation of Skunk Hollow Park, so Public Works is moving on that.
So will we have a site plan presented to us at our February meeting?
It was my understanding that once the site plan was completed, they were going to go out to bid. That you did. I wasn't aware you wanted to have it come back to you.
Do we need? Do you think we need it to come back to us?
I think we need to at least give people like the neighbors
Opportunity for
comment.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it up for comment for sure.
Not to delay the process, but I think it's
No, it's worth it. It
it's
has
better to
to.
get input again.
Transparency.
I'm glad I brought it up. Okay. February meeting it is.
I like the get it done attitude, though. Just go, but.
Office remodel. After I left here, I had a nice voicemail from our architect. I knew it was coming. The plans are complete. It's going to be presented to our building department on Thursday, and hopefully they'll be complete, and we can begin on the office remodel after all these many months. So that's good news. Been working on staffing levels and staffing responsibilities. Erin Duggan is aboard now, and she's hit the ground running with ideas for youth programming. We have a swordplay class starting tomorrow. We're working on getting a gymnastics program in. We're working on beefing up our ballet program in the new studio. She and Christina and Debbie are working together in tandem, and I can't believe all the ideas they're coming up with. So they're kept saying, is this okay? Is this okay? I said, if it's involving youth, yes, it's okay. Let's move forward. So they've got a lot of ideas. They're very excited about it. So I look forward to some good things in the future. Zanat Rodriguez has also started work on Summer Playground, and that brochure should be out next month to 6 weeks. So she's got some great ideas this year, too, for Summer Playground. And then finally, we have met with members of Age Friendly Intergenerational Center. An agreement has been presented to them, and we're waiting for that to get back and signed. The commission will be involved with, there's going to be a revamping of the program related to fees, and you will be seeing that in the next month or two. So it'll be coming to you for a change in the program. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
Questions?
I want to take this time now to say that it's been a fun last 3 or 4 months. So as soon as the new director comes, I'll show them the way, a little bit of the way. And I'll be around for comments too, but this is probably my last commission meeting. But it's good to see some, I won't say old faces, but familiar faces. And it has been a lot of fun.
Say old.
And as I said, I wish I was 15 years younger and would be able to take the position. But
So do we.
it's good coming back to Corte Madera. I'll
Thank
leave it
you
at
for
that.
everything you've done.
Yeah, thank you.
If you work for free, you could be volunteer of the year.
Good point.
But you can now.
but we're
We'll
changing
change
that.
it for you.
I think it should be anyone in Marin County.
Commissioner reports, anything from December, January town council meetings?
So town council was canceled January 7th for the holidays, and the 21st, there was one item that sort of sideways touched on what we do. It's more of a back burner issue that I'll just bring up briefly. In 2018, Caltrans gave the town a grant for a climate adaptation plan, and so they've been working on that in the background. The Public Works and RJ has been working on that, and so they've hired 2 companies, Adaptation International and working with the SF Estuary Institute on sort of flood mitigation and sea level rise mitigation plans. And so I'm looking at the map right now of concept developments. A lot of the properties that we kind of oversee on this commission are very close to sea level. And a lot of those properties like Town Park, Skunk Hollow Park, the railroad right away by the CHP, and parts of the Cove, those are all in sort of these areas for study or flood control. Knowing what happened in San Anselmo with their big fight they had about using Memorial Park as a flood control structure, I think we should at least keep in mind that if sea levels are rising and there's flood control issues, low-lying public properties like the parks we deal with may come into play at some point. So there's nothing that we need to deal with right now, but it's just something to think about. We've got a lot of low-lying flat space that might be useful for things other than parks in the future, and so we just want to stay ahead of that issue.
Anybody else?
On the council meetings particular,
No.
or just reports?
We'll just go to individual. The Executive Advisory Committee, we didn't meet, and I think the IGC Programming Ad Hoc Committee hasn't met, right?
No.
Yeah. I think it's kind of waiting on a new director.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So any other individual commissioner updates?
Yeah, just a little bit. I am looking forward to continuing the assignment to do the town park master plan, and I would love to at least see conversation about it there's a lot to figure out, and so I know we don't want the meetings to run too late, but it would be nice to have it on the agenda so we could talk about it. I know the new director will have probably, be steering that. The other thing is the Bayside Dog Park. This was an idea floated by the mayor, and he kind of pushed me into looking into it, and now that I've looked into it, and I think it's a really good idea, and you might even be able to put a basketball hoop out there. There's a parking lot right across from CHP. That road is so high speed, it needs something to slow people down a little bit, and I think that the whole road should be looked at in terms of allowing parking on the side of the road, because that road does not need to be as wide as it is. So there's opportunity there for better bike lanes and parking and dog park, and I just think that's a part of the town that would be really nice to see us friendly it up for the community rather than just be a dragway. I've been out there a couple times and looked at it. It really is nice. Originally, there were people who were saying, oh my God, the Audubon Society will never allow you to do that. But when you talk to people and make them understand that it's an opportunity for people to take their dogs off leash and have them run after balls or whatever in a confined space, rather than what people do now, some of us older folks who have bigger dogs and the dogs still need to run, I watch them. They walk right down the path, and as soon as they get behind those trees, they let their dogs off leash and they go running out into the marsh. And so I think of this as the dog park for the birds, because we can give people a reason to not have to take their dogs off leash. And lastly, I want to thank the town, because I just mentioned this, I think, to Todd. I want to thank Todd. I go out to the marsh a lot, and there is a brand new, beautiful interpretive sign that we originally put in when the beautification committee was first founded, and I mentioned to somebody that was all rotted out, and I went there a week ago, and it was replaced, and I thought that I had died and gone to Oz or something. It was like, oh my God, it happened. So thank you. And I guess it was Todd. I don't know who actually did it, but they did a nice job. They did an exact replica of what was there before. So that's all.
Todd was out there with his hammer.
Somebody did it. I have no idea who, but it just like appeared.
Anybody else?
Beautiful.
Well, speaking of signs, when are we getting the sign for the historic square, Old Town Square? Wasn't that approved?
Well, the interpretive signs went up. There are historic signs that Jonna Hale proposed to the council, and they're up. But
I thought it was like
the
supposed to be a
big,
big one.
the big old Corte Madera sign, I think that was asked to be re-looked at. I can't remember.
Hold on, I think Rebecca may know.
Or was it someone else?
Yes, thank you. I was almost on this agenda, actually. Julie Kritzberger of the Chamber had talked to me about it, but at the last minute, I think it was someone on the committee that wanted to look closer at the size of the sign and whether or not it accurately reflected if it was going to be burned engraving on the wood or if painted wood, and there was something about the final version that they felt wasn't ready for the commission agenda. So my guess is it will be on the next agenda, but it was almost on this one.
But the historic signs are cool. You should go see them. They're right near the bus stops.
Anybody else? No? Okay. Routine and other matters and future agenda items. Again, if anybody has any future agenda items, you let myself, Rebecca, or now we'll scratch Dave. Dave won't be around long. Either Rebecca or myself now. And also for February, it looks like we have kind of scheduled is capital improvement wish list, summer brochure review, which I don't know if it would be ready by then, be about a month or so. And then a couple of times a year, Rebecca, we like to have, I always hack up the letters, RJ, come and just give an update on capital improvement projects related to Park and Rec. So if he's available and can come, we'd appreciate it. Go ahead.
Well, since Skunk Hall is going to be on the agenda for February, that'd be a good time, I would
Okay.
think.
Yeah. Okay. And then I say if anybody has anything else between now and then, just either let myself or Rebecca or Emily know. Anybody have anything else?
So Fred, I'll just point out that February has Commission Capital Improvement Wish List, and April has Commission Capital Improvement Wish List.
Okay, we can nix one of those. This thing probably needs to be revamped anyway, because the other thing yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I just have something really general. Have you ever considered going paperless for this? Like if everyone brought their own computer, or you can even bring it up on your phone, like it's a lot of paper, you know? Could help out a little
I guess two things on that. One thing is, I don't know, I guess because it's a public meeting, I don't know how much paper, as far as the public, can be nixed. But if you asked us on an individual level, if we wanted hard copy and just said no, we could reduce some
I'd
of the
be
paper
happy,
that
yeah.
way.
I can just refer on my phone to
Just bring my
all of the
computer.
documents, so I don't need the paper
Yeah,
either.
so maybe, I don't know, either just ask us, you can just do it informally, because at least it'll cut down against some of the hard copies. But I'm pretty sure, I think for the public, you probably have to leave some hard copies out. Okay, that was a good idea, though. Okay, if nothing else, then we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.